So, if you've ever worked in a big company that's trying to move faster, you know the feeling, right? Agile is fantastic for a single team. But what happens when you have 50 teams or 100, all trying to build the same thing? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to try and solve today.
This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you get all those people, hundreds of them, rowing in the same direction, delivering cool stuff all the time, without just creating a total mess? It's like going from a little rowboat to commanding a whole fleet. So what's the secret? How do the big guys actually pull this off?
Well, they use a map. And yeah, I know, at first glance, this thing looks incredibly complex. This is the SAFe big picture. But here's the thing. Think of it like a super detailed city map for a giant organization. You don't need to read every single street name at once. The key is that every single piece is there for a reason, to get a huge number of people from a high-level idea all the way to a finished product without getting lost. So how does this map actually work? At its core, its main job is to create a direct line from the company's biggest goals, way up in the executive suite, straight down to the teams who are actually writing the code. It creates this clear line of sight for everyone. Now, what's so cool about this is how it shows you the different altitudes. Way up top, you've got the portfolio level. That's where the big strategy decisions and, the money decisions are made. Then, down at the bottom, you've got what's called the essential level. This is where teams of teams are actually building, testing, and shipping solutions. And SAFe? Well, SAFe provides all the connections in between.
Okay, so to make that connection actually happen, SAFe has this core engine. It's a mechanism that takes those big strategies and turns them into real, tangible value. And it's called the Agile Release Train. The Agile Release Train, or ART, is really the heart of the whole system. It's a team of agile teams, usually about 50 to 125 people, that stays together for a long time. And here's why that's so important. It smashes the traditional silos. You've got everyone you need to deliver value. Software, hardware, marketing, you name it, all on the same train, moving together towards one mission.
And look, this visual shows you exactly where that engine sits. It's right there in the center of the essential SAFe configuration. You can literally see the flow, that continuous delivery pipeline that's always exploring new ideas, integrating the work, and deploying it out to customers. This is the machine that powers everything. Now, an engine is great, right? But it's totally useless without a driver, without a navigator. In SAFe, that absolutely crucial role is filled by product management and the product owners. They are the ones steering the train.
And this relationship, it's the absolute key to the whole thing. These two roles hold the content authority, which is just a fancy way of saying they get to decide what gets built. They make sure that this powerful engine, the art, is always building the right thing at the right time.
So how does a giant idea turn into actual code? Well, this table breaks it down perfectly. Think of it like this. At the very top, you have these huge business initiatives called epics. This is your land a rover on Mars kind of goal. Those get broken down into features for the ART, which product management owns, something like develop the landing parachute. And finally, the product owner works with their team on the individual stories, the nitty-gritty, code the sensor for parachute deployment level of detail. It's this beautiful, clear cascade from a massive vision to a tiny piece of work.
All right, so we've got the structure down, but what does a product owner or a product manager actually do all day to make this magic happen? Let's get into some of the key plays. First things first, they have to live and breathe this principle from the original Agile Manifesto. Now, this isn't about creating chaos. It's about disciplined flexibility. The point isn't to just blindly stick to a plan you made months ago. No way. The goal is to deliver what the customer needs right now, to give them a real edge. This mindset, it changes everything. And PI planning is where that mindset really comes to life. Think of it as this massive all-hands huddle for the entire fleet before it sets sail for the next couple of months. And the single most important job for the product owner and manager here is to provide crystal clear clarity. They have to clarify the features and lock in the priorities. Without that, teams just spin their wheels. A great product person is a fog cutter. And their job actually starts way before the planning even begins. It's about making sure you're not just building features, you're de-risking innovation itself. Through something called continuous exploration, they're constantly out there talking to customers, running experiments, building prototypes. The whole point is to prove an idea is valuable before you sink thousands of engineering hours into it. Fail fast, learn faster, and build with way more confidence. So finally, how do they know if they're making progress?
It's not about tracking busyness, how many hours people are working. It's about tracking actual delivered value. The release train burn-up chart is a killer tool for this. It simply shows the planned work versus the work that's actually done. This lets a product owner see the flow, see how predictable they are, and have real, data-driven talks about whether they're on track. It shifts the entire conversation from guesswork to genuine insight. So you put all these pieces together, the map, the engine, the navigators, the G-plays. What's the end game? What's the whole point of all this? It's not just to say you're doing agile. It's to achieve something much, much bigger, true business agility. And we're not just talking about some fluffy, feel-good benefits here. The results are real and they are measurable. Organizations that really commit to this see incredible improvements. I mean, just imagine getting your product to market 30 to 75% faster, or seeing a 25 to 75% jump in quality. That, on top of huge boosts in productivity and employee morale, is why companies go on this journey.
So, it all comes back to that map. SAFe is one really powerful way to organize around value, for sure, but it's not the only way. And that forces us to ask a really important question about our own work. Whether you have 10 people or 10,000, what is your organization's map for delivering value? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.